Peter Valley, FBAmaster.com. In this video, we're going to talk about counterfeit textbooks. So my personal opinion, just going into this, I want to be clear, is that the textbook counterfeit hype is very overblown, but that's not to say there's not counterfeit textbooks out there. There's tons of them. I'm seeing them myself. So what's going to be different about this video is rather than list 50 things that might potentially indicate a book is counterfeit, I'm going to distill it down to 5. There's really only 5 main things you need to look for. Every counterfeit textbook I've seen has one of these 5 things, usually more than one. So we're going to keep this really, really simple. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover in part 1. The top 5 signs a textbook is in fact fake. In part 2, I'm going to cover signs a textbook is not fake. So if you're unsure, look at this list. You can confirm the book is in fact authentic. And then lastly, I'm going to cover more signs a textbook is fake. These are bonus ones. The top 5 are really the only ones you need to pay attention to, but I'm going to give you some extra ones at the end. So everybody wants to know, is the hype around counterfeit textbooks exaggerated? Is the threat as real as a lot of the chatter in some of these Facebook groups would indicate? So I'll give a little editorial on this. I do think the fear is exaggerated, and it's kind of split into 2 parts. Number 1, if you're sourcing online, doing online book arbitrage, there is a high likelihood you will encounter counterfeits. If you're sourcing in the secondhand market, the chances are very low. Personally, I have never seen a textbook that I identify as a fake that I source from a secondhand environment, meaning not online. However, I have sourced books online that I've confirmed were fake. So not just what I've experienced, but what I've heard from sellers is that generally you're going to encounter fake textbooks, counterfeit textbooks that are going to be sourced online. Although they do end up in the secondhand market, personally, I've never seen one. Not to say they don't exist, not to say they don't exist in abundance. I've just personally never seen one. But the big message I want to impart here is that textbook companies, some of which are billion-dollar companies, are highly incentivized to make sellers think that the threat of counterfeit textbooks is much bigger than it actually is. So I wrote an article version of this video as well, and I've got kind of the top things I look for when I'm concerned a textbook might be fake, but I decided to do some internet research, figure out what else people are saying about the subject, and what I found was very interesting. Turns out, almost every instance that I saw of anything online that tells you how to spot a counterfeit textbook was either written by textbook companies or their front groups. I think it's like stopcounterfeits.com or something. It's just a front group for textbook companies, or book buyback sites that are highly connected and policed by these textbook companies. In other words, they've been sued or they've received threatening legal letters. So in a sense, they're highly controlled by these textbook companies. So if you Google counterfeit textbooks, like almost all of the top results will make you think that like if a page is like slightly tilted, that is a counterfeit textbook. So I'd like this video to function as kind of a counterbalance to all that hype and just share my personal opinion that yes, the concern is real, but it's not as bad as the textbook companies make you think. Okay, so before we get into the top 5 signs a textbook is counterfeit, let's get this out of the way. My name is Peter Valley. I've been selling on Amazon for about 15 years. I run the website FBAmaster.com, and I formerly did a lot of teaching in the online arbitrage space. That was a model I taught for a number of years. And I'm not saying I won't teach it again in the future, but that's where you really hear some textbook counterfeit horror stories. So I talked to hundreds and hundreds of sellers who've dealt with counterfeit textbooks. I learned a lot during that time, and I'm distilling it down to share with you in this video. Gotta mention it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the button below this video right now and subscribe. If you don't do that, I will personally come to your house and rearrange your furniture. I have hundreds of restraining orders against me from sellers all over the country who ignored my warning that if they don't subscribe, I will come to their house and rearrange their furniture. They called the police on me. The police said, look, you didn't really do anything wrong. You just moved your couch 1 inch over. It's not a big deal. And they said, well, I want to get a restraining order. And so that's what happened. So if you want to avoid that fate, just go ahead and subscribe, and also head over to FBAmaster.com, get all the free stuff you see here. And lastly, I wrote an article version of this video, as I mentioned, FBAmaster.com. You can get a much more, it's actually more in-depth than this I'm able to get into in this video. I also list the top 10 most counterfeited textbooks, some more material, just a little bit longer, so you can head over there, FBAmaster.com. Okay, you guys ready? Top 5 signs a textbook is counterfeit. Let's get into it. Counterfeit textbook clue number 1. This is only for you guys doing online arbitrage. Okay, this does not apply to the secondhand market. If you're sourcing online and you see a book, this is the clue. You see a book that is in high demand, in new condition, that is sold way too cheap, particularly on a non-Amazon site. In other words, it just seems too good to be true. That is a dead giveaway that a book is counterfeit. That's not to say that tons of textbooks don't end up on non-Amazon sites for far below Amazon's prices. That can happen. But particularly if you see a seller who has multiple copies for sale in new condition of a high demand textbook and the price is too good to be true, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it probably is. So the checklist here again, high demand textbook in new condition, priced significantly below Amazon's prices with multiple quantities available. And then again, particularly on a non-Amazon site, a lot of counterfeits do end up on Amazon, but Amazon polices their marketplace a lot more strictly than other sites. So particularly if it's a site like AbeBooks or eBay, the risk is even higher. You can see here on the screen what is probably the most counterfeited textbook in the world, the DSM. You see copies like, I mean, this is $100+ textbook. You see copies like this on eBay, someone selling multiple copies, brand new condition, $38, way too good to be true. And eBay is notorious about harboring counterfeiters and doing almost nothing to stop them. Okay, counterfeit textbook clue number 2. The cover art is low resolution or blurry. If you're looking at the cover art of a textbook, keep in mind, these textbook companies, again, oftentimes are billion-dollar companies. They're not skimping on production quality here. So if you got a textbook and the cover just looks like a slightly pixelated, slightly blurry, the cover art doesn't seem like it's high production value cover art, that is a major clue that book is counterfeit. So if you got the book, you're turning it over, you're like, it just doesn't look right. It's just kind of fuzzy. It's kind of weird. Probably a counterfeit. Counterfeit textbook clue number 3, a distorted barcode. Now, personally, this is the first thing I look at. If I've got a book and I'm like, maybe something doesn't look quite right, the second thing I'm going to look at after I get my first clue is the barcode. Or if I notice the barcode's blurry, dead giveaway the book is a counterfeit. You can see an image here. You've got the blurry barcode with the clean, authentic barcode on top. Again, there's no such thing as a major textbook publisher that allows a book to get printed with a blurry barcode. Barcode should be very crisp, very distinct, high resolution. Anything else, the book is probably counterfeit. Counterfeit textbook clue number 4, low quality paper. So if you open the textbook and you can see through the paper, or the paper is not shiny, it doesn't have that gloss that high quality textbooks have, that regular textbooks have, and it's like no gloss whatsoever, really thin, especially if you can see through it, dead giveaway. This is a low quality counterfeit textbook. Also, that can include like some discoloration, like the paper's not totally white. Anything that indicates the paper's low quality, because again, these textbook companies don't skimp. That's a dead giveaway. The book's counterfeit. Counterfeit textbook clue number 5, narrower width than the dimensions that are reported on Amazon. Okay, so you see the screenshot, see where it says product details, and then see the parts that's circled. Amazon will give you the dimensions of every single book. That includes the width of the spine. So if you have suspicions, you can just look at this, look at the width of the spine, and then measure the actual width of the book that you have in your hand. If the difference is significant, like more than, 1/10 of an inch, dead giveaway the book's counterfeit. You can see here's an example here. This is also the DSM. There's the fake one on the right and the authentic one on the left. And the reason this happens ties into counterfeit textbook clue number 4 that we just covered, is the low quality paper. Low quality paper is going to be thinner. So that's going to be revealed in a thickness that does not match up to the product details listed on Amazon. Okay, so those are the top 5. That's really all you need. Okay, but I'm going to give you about 5 or 6 more that are other like smaller clues to look for. So I'm going to go through these rapid fire. Number 1, it's not just about the spine. The actual width of the cover and the height of the cover does not match the product details on Amazon. Dead giveaway, a book is counterfeit. Supplemental counterfeit textbook clue number 2, the paper is actually thicker than normal. I talked about thinner than normal. It can actually be thicker. So any inconsistency in either direction indicates a book is counterfeit. Supplemental clue number 3, the colors differ from the original. So in other words, you got a cover, you're looking at it, you're like, on Amazon it shows a dark blue, but I'm looking at something that's light blue, or anything like that. If the difference is significant, that's a clue. Supplemental clue number 4, blurry or low quality interior photos. So you open up the book and the photos inside are just bad quality. They're pixelated, low quality, black and white when they should be color. Anything that looks off might be a counterfeit. Supplemental clue number 5, off-center text. So if you open up the book and you see the text on the page, if it leans too heavily one direction or the other, or from top to bottom, it's not aligned perfectly. Remember, textbook companies don't allow mistakes like this to happen. So if anything's off-center, dead giveaway the book is a counterfeit. Textbook clue number 6 is a little harder to spot. I personally, I can't honestly say I would even know how to spot this, but a lot of people report low quality binding. In other words, the glue is like messy, like it's spilling out of the spine, or it just looks poor quality. The binding does not seem up to par with what you would imagine a 8-9 figure company would produce. Last supplemental clue number 7. This one I think is kind of funny. Again, I've never seen this. I just heard this, that oftentimes counterfeit textbooks will not include the copyright logo, which is so hilarious because it's like, what is it? It's not out of respect for the law. Like, I think we can go ahead and safely assume they're not leaving the counterfeit symbol off because they're trying to respect the law. Okay. They're counterfeiters. So it's not that. Is it like an inside joke? Like, I don't know. Like, why would you deliberately surgically remove the copyright logo from the book? It's very weird, but apparently this is a thing. If the book info page that has all that information, like the ISBN, the copyright, if that's missing, that's supposed to be a sign. And or if that page does exist, but the copyright symbol is missing for whatever reason, that's supposed to be a clue. Now, what if you're on the fence? What if you're like, this could be a counterfeit or it could not be a counterfeit? So I'm going to give you 2 signs a book is not counterfeit. Your book is probably not a counterfeit if it's not a textbook. Now, that's not to say that non-textbooks don't get bootlegged. They do. But the vast, vast, vast majority of books out there that are counterfeit, or at least that anyone would ever notice are counterfeit, are going to be textbooks. By far, the most counterfeit type of book is going to be a textbook. So I would say if it's from the last 30 years and it's not a textbook, chances are very, very low that it's a counterfeit. Clue number 2, a book is authentic. It's probably not a counterfeit if it's not in high demand. So remember, you got to think about it from, the sort of criminal business perspective, which is you're only going to bootleg a book if you can move a lot of copies of it if it's in high demand. You could bootleg any book in the world. Why would you counterfeit a book that has an average rank of 200,000? You're going to bootleg a book that has an average rank of 10,000 or 5,000, right? If you could bootleg any book in the world, you're going to choose the most high demand books. It just makes good criminal business sense. So if you've got a book and the average rank is like 500,000, which is not a bad rank, but for a bootleg book, counterfeit book, it actually is a bad rank. It's probably not a counterfeit. Now, that's not to say that older counterfeit books don't stay in circulation long after they're relevant. Of course they do. I'm just saying you're much, much, much less likely to encounter a book like that. The books that tend to be sold, particularly online, that are counterfeited, in new condition especially, are going to be high demand textbooks. Okay, main takeaway here, please do not give in to the textbook counterfeit hype. These textbook companies want you to think that every other textbook is fake, and it's just not true. All you have to do is pay attention to a few basic clues we covered at the beginning of this video, and that's going to recover you most of the time. So you now have a 4-part mission. Are you ready? Very important. Mission number 1, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Mission number 2, go to fbamastery.com, hit the link below this video, get all the free stuff you see here. Mission number 3, if you're an Amazon seller, you basically need a repricing tool. I built NeuroPrice to solve my own problem. The only repricer in the world with no data blind spots, works inside Amazon, 14-day free trial. Hit the link below this video and at the top of this video. Lastly, take what you learned in this video and actually put it in action. Take some notes, go make money with it, save yourself some money. I didn't make this video to be entertaining. I made it to inform. Take what you learned here, go make money with it. Thank you guys so much. Peter Valley signing off. See you in the next video.